Sam Cooke. Actually, I was listening to it. I started looking out the window. I was like, man, that's a dang good song. I'm just like this. It's like, AD, you're on air. In 1908, this is interesting. I didn't realize this. Way back. Nebraska appears headed to the Big Nine after Michigan's exit from the conference. I thought that was interesting because you see the relationship Nebraska still has with Michigan all these years later still, 100 plus years ago. And you look at that, here is Michigan and Nebraska still kind of tangling. Well, not tangling. I mean, they kind of handed it to us, but it's just weird to see that was a Big Nine conference. And more importantly, on a broader scale, look at the conferences now. I mean, you guys thinking about it. College football is basically going to be run by three conferences: Big Ten, SEC, ACC, and the rest. And they're just going to keep pillaging, other teams from other conferences, man.
That's interesting that you say ACC, because I have this weird suspicion that it could be the Big 12.
It could.
I have a weird suspicion that it's going to be the Big 12 because now let's think about this, guys. The Big 10 needs a commissioner here, right? Because Kevin Warren decides to go to Chicago. I think they look at Jim Phillips, who's the current ACC commissioner, and you would say, why would he make not a lateral move, but a marginal move like that? I think conference stability is a huge reason why Jim Phillips would think about moving from the ACC to the Big 10. And so I mean, Big 12 adds Cincinnati and Houston this season. Yeah. They're going to BYU as well, and UCF.
And they just got a new commissioner, I believe, earlier in the year, and he's very, we're not letting this die out. We're going to be aggressive.
So I'm intrigued to see, because if the ACC loses a powerhouse like a Miami. And by powerhouse, I mean a popular school, a Miami, a Clemson, whatever, Florida State even. I mean, I feel like it's going to go to shambles pretty quickly here.
I agree.
There is an article. I'm trying to pull it up on my phone. I'm going to bring this. I might even say, in fact, we're going to save this for Monday. But there was an article on The Athletic that was looking. I was looking at it about a week ago, if that. It was looking at potential camp replacements for Kevin Warren, and I'll send it to you guys this weekend. We'll dive into that next week because it's pretty it's a pretty robust article, very in depth. But some of the names they brought up were very interesting, including your guy. What was his name? The first one
from the ACC, Jim Phillips. Yep.
Yeah, and he's at. I think he's at. What school is he at right now?
So I want to say he was at Northwestern, and then he took the job as the ACC commissioner.
That's ACC commissioner, exactly. And he was one of the first names they brought up. He's one of the first names they brought up. Then they also brought up there's a younger person that runs there I think he's like 30. Literally he's like 30. It'd be like Nick. It'd be like, well, not even you, right? It'd be like you're not even close to 30 yet. But it'd
like Garrett McGuire.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be like that coach, but there was a lot of eyebrows raised. Like, why would you guys say him? And I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to screw it up because I don't know it right off the back of my head. But I do have it saved though. He does a lot of their licensing and branding technology. Gotcha. He's got a lot of fresh ideas. He's a very forward thinker. Now they said that would be probably a long shot for him to get the job, but that's where they're thinking right now. So there's a lot of options that are out there. And I'm going to send you both this article over the weekend, and we can dive into it Monday because, fellas, to your point, Nick. Whoever takes that job, granted, Kevin Warren set a lot of these things in place. I don't think we're done. I don't think we're done still picking teams yet, man, even with USC and UCLA.
Well, here's what's crazy is after Kevin Warren left Chicago, and we'll have to get into this deeper on Monday, it sounded like a lot of the Big Ten schools were not in favor of expanding to those teams. It sounded like it was a Kevin Warren kind of decision. And so, I told you guys this already. When I was doing it was on early break with Sip when I was filling in for Jake while he was in Hawaii. I was telling him on the show that Dennis Dodd tweeted out the day that Kevin Warren took the job for the Chicago Bears that with 18 months on the contract, according to his sources, Dennis Dodd said that the Big Ten was not going to re-up Kevin Warren's contract.
Bingo.
And so that tells you everything you need to know. Now, Kevin Warren had a tumultuous type of tenure as the Big Ten commissioner, had to deal with a lot of junk that the common commissioner doesn't have to deal with, the COVID pandemic, and then obviously kind of be branching out and trying to expand, be one of the first conferences to expand behind the SEC and things like that. And yes, Kevin Warren put the Big Ten in a spot to land a massive TV deal, but I think in terms of his relationship with a lot of athletic departments, I don't think it was very strong or very positive, because rarely do you ever hear that soon into a guy's tenure that they're not willing to re-up with him on his contract. That's fascinating to me.
You are spot on. And I'm going to in fact, I just sent you both this article. You'll see it on your guys' text. I just texted to you. We won't go because it's pretty robust. I want us all to dig in a little bit.
Yeah.
I will mention that the young man we're talking about is Kerry Kinney. He's a senior vice president, television, media analytics, and emerging platforms at the Big Ten. He's been with the league for 15 years. He's worked closely with Delaney and Warren. The thing is, he's not 40. I was saying 30. He's not yet 40, which in the Big Ten, you figure the oldest conference, that's out there, for them to even consider a guy who's that young, Kerry Kinney. He's got some serious clout and a lot of support from the people around. A lot of respect, I would say.
Yeah. Well, think about it this way, guys. So Jim Delaney, when you talk about why would you maybe hire somebody younger like that, you can talk about stability, somebody that's going to be in the position for a lengthy amount of time. If you remember, Jim Delaney, I want to say, got the commissioner job in 1989.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, and then he served it until 2020. It was a lengthy tenure for Jim Delaney. Now you have Kevin Warren, who I believe in the history of all commissioners has the shortest tenure, a little over 3 years. He got it in 2020. I want to say July 1st, 2020. I'm guessing because that's when the fiscal year would have began.
Right.
So you have Kevin Warren coming off of one of the shortest tenures as a major power conference commissioner in the history of all commissioners, which followed up one of the longest tenured guys in Jim Delaney from 89 to 2020. So if you want to get back to this stability and a guy that could be here for 20, 30, maybe even 35 years, you're probably looking at a guy that's 40 years old. I mean,
right.
I know another name that was floated around was Barry Alvarez.
Yeah.
Because he has obviously the experience in athletic departments. He's been an advisor and kind of a liaison for Kevin Warren this last year and a half or so. So I know that name's floated around. But then you're going also a little bit of an older age route with a guy like Barry Alvarez that also may not have the executive background like a guy like Kevin Warren did. So there's a lot of plus and minuses and pros and cons with every candidate, it seems like.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes down. It's also going to be pivotal, if you would, for the stability of the conference going forward. And some of the guys that I know that are coaches, both in the Big Ten and other conferences, didn't talk down about Warren, but just mentioned he could be difficult to work with at times. And it goes back to your point, Nick, and where his contract wasn't being renewed. So I think he's seen the handwriting on the wall. It's kind of like, I'm going to dip out before I'm going to make the decision on my own. I'm going to make it easy for you.
It's just crazy, guys, because if you think about it and how it all worked out, we always knew that Kevin Warren probably wanted to get back to the NFL in some capacity, but I don't think we saw it coming less than 4 years after he took over. And I don't think, and I don't know if we ever saw it in a way that, I don't want to say he was pushed out, but in those areas, guys, when you're at the level of a commissioner, you're going to be able to go grab and find another job, right? You're not going to be out on I don't want to say out on the street, but you're not going to be looking for a job for too long because you have such a strong resume. Even if you have a poor tenure, you're still having a strong resume because you were the freaking commissioner of a Power 5 football or a Power 5 conference, I should say. So when you're in a position like that, it's more of a, hey, this isn't working out. Go find another job. You have 18 months until your contract is up. We're probably not going to re-up it. Go find yourself another opportunity. And that's what he did. And it just so happened that the Bears offered him the presidential job right away, and it didn't take him more than like a month to find one.
Well, I tell you what, and it could take him less than a year to lose it if he does something stupid, because in the NFL, he had a lot more stability Perceived stability with the Big Ten. Raff, if you're Chicago, before we go to break here, I'm going to ask you, if you're the Bears or a Bears fan, what's your feelings on the hire of Kevin Warren?
Probably the same as that we say about with coaches, that until you see, what happens out on the field, if you win, he's going to be the greatest president of all time. If they don't make any progress as an organization, and they've got a lot of stuff, going on right now. I'm not sure. Is he president of just over football, or is he president over the whole organization? Because they've got to worry about what they're going to do about a stadium. So they're going to have to make a decision here coming up on if they're going to do that $2.2 billion expansion of Soldier Field, or if they're going to move out of Chicago. So yeah, he has the possibility of maybe being really loved, or he's also got, but I guess that's what you get every time you take a new job, either being loved or hated. So
yeah, it seems like, so he's the president and CEO, so the chief executive officer of the Chicago Bears.
Oh, so he's got full power.
So he's got full power. And that's, I mean, in hiring decisions, you're talking coaches. Now, not necessarily, he's not making decisions on cutting guys, but he has that power. And he talked about in his introductory press conference how close of a relationship he has with Justin Fields. He's like, he's preaching he's basically like, we're not getting rid of Justin Fields. He's an incredible talent, and I think we're gonna win a lot of games with Justin Fields. That same old speech. Yeah. And I mean, there it is. But I think it's a really interesting kind of move. But like I said, one that he's been stationed in Chicago for the last however many years, and he gets to chill there. And now he's the president and CEO of the Chicago Bears.
I'm with Raff, and you both think it's a wait and see approach. I got some Daniel family members that are huge Chicago Bears fans. I mean, John Goodwin, his son plays also for Nebraska. And, it's a young tight end there. Huge Chicago fan. So we'll see, man.